After getting reincarnated in another world over some rumor from the internet, Shigeru becomes an almighty god after maxing out all his status. This story begins with Shigeru, who is ugly and mocked by everyone. One time, while boarding a train, a girl accused him of touching her even though he didn't. Because of his looks, they threw him out, and he was ordered by the court to pay a fine. He agreed, thinking it was easier than a long trial, but he thought wrong. As a result, he lost his job. After some years, the girl who accused him got arrested for false accusations. Because of the trauma, he couldn't live normally or approach people, so he became a shut-in. One night, while he was scrolling, he found a rumor about how to get to another world. He thought it was just a joke and laughed at it, but then he thought, why not? The condition was, at 2 a.m., face your computer north, open the window, raise both arms, and wait. When the time was 2 a.m., his computer got a notification that said, proceed to next screen to live a new life. Returning will cost half your life. He thought it was a virus, then clicked next. He saw his status and looks. He adjusted his look value to -155 and clicked next. He was given bonus points. He could get more if he wrote something on the special note. He started writing negative things like reducing earning, losing 10% HP if he touches a girl, and gaining 10,000 times experience. For doing that, he received 100 trillion points. While he was thinking about how to distribute them, time was up, his computer shut down, and he disappeared. When he opened his eyes, he was in another world. When he looked into a mirror, he was shocked, and there seemed to be others who had been reincarnated with him. He turned around and saw them in their underwear. One of the girls sneezed. The guy next to her gave her his shirt. When Shigeru saw that the other girl was cold too, he gave her his shirt, but after she looked at his face, she rejected him. They introduced themselves. The handsome guy's name was Seiji. The innocent-looking one didn't share her name, and the one who refused him was called Seika. He told them he was 16, but they told him he didn't look like one. Then Seiji asked them if they had come because of the rumor on the internet. They all said they did. Shigeru started to look around and found a drawer. When he opened it, he saw a coin. When he touched it, the coin disappeared. Then he remembered he reduced his earnings. Seiji asked him if he had found anything. Shigeru said nothing. Then he asked him for his name, and he told him it was Shigeru. After looking through the house, they found equipment. When Shigeru picked up a cloth, he thought it couldn't fit, but it fit perfectly, even for the others too. Then Seiji told them they could divide everything except coins, since there were only 7. Seiji thought Shigeru took it, but Shigeru told them he didn't need the money, and they could divide it among themselves. Seiji hesitated, but Seika said, let's split it because we are the ones who found the coins. Then Shigeru asked them in exchange to give him an axe, but they told him he couldn't have it. Seiji even made excuses not to give him. Then they decided to distribute the weapons by rock, paper, scissors. Shigeru was left with a staff. They shook hands, but Shigeru refused to avoid losing his 10% HP. Then they opened up a map and decided to go to the next town. When they opened the door to leave, they found a monster. Seiji quickly killed it. When they looked outside, there were more monsters. Seiji told Seika to string her bow and support, and Shigeru to protect her, and went to battle the monsters. They were defeating the monsters easily, but Seika couldn't string her bow. A monster attacked Shigeru from behind. When he tried to attack, it didn't deal any damage to the monster. Shigeru was shocked, but then remembered he didn't distribute his points because time was up. Then he killed the monster, and a status window appeared. He was level 31. He was shocked but realized his experience was 10,000 times. Then the others leveled up too. They put their points on strength and stamina, but Shigeru put trillion points in each. After he did that, some light appeared above him, and his status window malfunctioned, and his class changed to Almighty God. Then he saw a monster attacking him, but it did no damage. Curious about his strength, he flicked the monster in the head and sent it flying, creating a strong wind. Then he saw Seika still struggling with the string, while the others were killing the monsters. She started crying, and Shigeru couldn't watch anymore. He went to help her. She agreed and gave him the bow. He remembered a video he watched when he was a shut-in and strung her bow. As thanks, she gave him an arrow to take a shot. Then, he used a skill called Ultimate Strike and shot the arrow, but it was sent high. When Shigeru thought his accuracy was low, the arrow created a magic circle in the sky above the monsters. Then a golden dragon came out and killed all the monsters, shocking everyone. When Seika asked him, he answered her that he was in the archery club. Then another monster came, and Seiji asked Seika to assist them. She excitedly started firing arrows, but they all just flew away, not hitting any monsters. She got depressed. When she ran out of arrows, then Shigeru created new ones and gave her, but it was pointless. She just fired them away. Then they finished all the monsters and went to the next town. They got hungry and started looking for food. Suddenly, they found hamburgers. They were confused about how hamburgers were in another world, but they went in. Shigeru turned and went another way. He got hungry and sat to rest. Then a cat showed up. He was about to pet her, but stopped and thought, "Is she a female?" Then suddenly, Seika came out of nowhere and scared him. He fell into the water and got wet. When he was drying his clothes, Seika took out a big hamburger and gave it to him for helping her string her bow and the arrows. When he was taking it, he accidentally touched her. He felt pain, and his HP started to decrease. He got 58 trillion damage, equal to the power to destroy a planet. But Seika started crying, saying, "I brought it to you, but you threw it away." He apologized and told her he would eat it. She refused and gave him another one, but he asked her, "Isn't that yours?" She replied, "I'm rich, I could get another." She accepted it, and while eating, he said to himself he would stay with her to pay her back for this. The others came, and they started their journey.
In the bustling town, Seika dragged Shigeru into an armory shop, her eyes gleaming as she purchased a hefty stockpile of arrows. Shigeru watched in awe, knowing he could produce arrows with his skill, but when Seika teased him about not buying any, she quickly remembered his empty pockets and laughed it off. Soon, their companions rejoined them, announcing they'd found an inn. Shigeru, stubborn as ever, insisted he'd rather sleep in the park, but Seika grabbed his collar, declaring she'd cover his stay, pulling him along with no harm done to his tattered clothes. At the inn, while the girls showered, Shigeru sat alone, his mind racing with thoughts of making money. He opened his status window, scrolling through his skills to find one that could turn a profit. The next morning, he surprised everyone by bringing food to the table. When asked how he managed it, he quipped about slaving away, though in truth, he'd bartered his conjured arrows for goods. Grateful, the group thanked him, and Shigeru muttered to himself that he'd repaid his debt to Seika. Eager for coin, as monsters dropped none, they decided to venture to a nearby cave for their next quest. On their way, a stranger approached, offering to guide them through the cave. Introducing himself as Kayashiro, a fellow reincarnated soul, he handed them a one-time discount item and pitched his services as a guide for new reincarnates. Shigeru, ever wary, left the decision to Seiji, who haggled and hired Kayashiro for 120 riras a day. Kayashiro equipped them and led the way. As they traveled, they encountered monsters. Seika, firing arrows with her usual gusto, missed her shots until Kayashiro offered her pointers, turning her aim deadly accurate. The others joined the hunt, and during a break, they trained under Kayashiro's guidance. He turned to Shigeru, asking if he'd join, but Shigeru dismissed his staff skill as useless. Kayashiro countered that its final ability was extraordinary, though Shigeru recalled a warning from his status window: using it against a giant orc would devastate a 200-kilometer radius, potentially wiping out everything from Saitama Prefecture to the Pacific Ocean. He'd cancelled it then, wary of its power. Kayashiro urged him to fight actively, warning he'd end up retired like himself. Curious, Shigeru asked why Kayashiro retired. The guide revealed he'd been part of a mercenary group but quit, unable to keep up, especially after his leader became a king with a level of 80 and an average stat of 160. Shigeru muttered that 3-digit stats were weak, but Kayashiro, misinterpreting, apologized for overwhelming him and encouraged perseverance. They reached the cave, an ancient ruin glowing with eerie beauty. Seika, trembling like a child, hesitated at the entrance but grew excited inside, only to revert to childish fear when Kayashiro warned her to stay alert. Seiji, intrigued, asked her real-world age. Stammering, Seika admitted she was 17, not 16, while Seiji revealed he was 30. They pressed deeper, battling monsters under Kayashiro's navigation until they reached a grand door. Seika, eager, rushed forward but froze when Kayashiro asked her level. At level 3, she was no match for the boss beyond, and terrified, she hid behind the others. Seiji suggested they call it a day, thanking Kayashiro, who praised his leadership and led them to a special event, a safe room impervious to monsters or magic, crafted by another reincarnate. Inside, Saika marveled at a table of snacks, but Shigeru's status window flashed a warning. The bottle Kayashiro offered contained sleeping gas. Shigeru, immune to it, muttered about the poison but stayed silent. Seiji declined the drink, wanting to return to town before sunset, and Shigeru muttered approval of his caution. Kayashiro, disappointed, suggested celebrating in the village instead. Seiji removed his helmet, apologizing for doubting Kayashiro's generosity. Kayashiro offered him the drink, and he accepted it. Seiji began to blame himself for suspecting such kindness, while Saika gleefully asked for seconds. Shigeru, wary of the gas's glow revealing his antidote magic, stalled with conversation, asking about their past lives. The group fell silent, shocked, and Saika called his name sadly. Shigeru apologized for his misstep, and Seiji shared his story. Fed up with school, he left home, started a successful company, but was misled by a salesman, Shigeru, it turned out, who advised him to relax. Following this, his company thrived, but an AI project led to its bankruptcy and his mental breakdown, prompting his arrival in this world with a vow not to fail again. He asked Shigeru's last name, but Shigeru lied, saying Sasaki. They all fell asleep, but Shigeru stayed awake, noticing Kayashiro and his group chaining them up. Shigeru confronted about his past, but before he could act, Seiji awoke, warning the captors not to touch them. Kayashiro mocked Seiji's defiance, saying it was all he could do. Shigeru muttered about Seiji getting caught in his attack. Seiji fought free but was overpowered. Kayashiro revealed this world was for losers and called them naive, ordering their capture. Shigeru leaped up, using his pig jump skill to crash into the enemies, urging Seiji to leave it to him. Seiji refused to abandon his friend, declaring he could defeat the gang with one hit. Kayashiro scoffed, ordering his men to take Shigeru first, but Shigeru's unharmed resilience stunned them. Kayashiro threatened Seiji to surrender, but Shigeru attacked, silencing him. Seiji, glowing with power, chanted an oath to protect his friends, a power fueled by anger. Kayashiro ignored his warning, attacking, but Shigeru shielded Seiji, urging him to show their strength. Seiji completed his chant, transforming into the indomitable hero Aldine, ready to face the foes.
Kiyoshiro stood in shock as he witnessed Seiji's transformation. With a newfound sense of power, Seiji charged at him but stopped short when Kiyoshiro questioned his intentions. Seiji calmly replied, "I won't be the one to punish you. The law will take care of that. It's my chance to atone for my past." Surprisingly, Kiyoshiro lowered his weapon in agreement, and as Seiji turned to leave, he warned, "If you betray me again, I won't show you mercy." Kiyoshiro smirked, secretly picking up his sword and charging at Seiji, only to be thwarted by Shigeru, who stumbled into his path. As Shigeru fell, Kiyoshiro's lackeys began to beat him, but he felt nothing. With a flick of his finger, he launched a booger that destroyed a nearby wall, leaving everyone stunned. Shigeru quickly spun the tail, claiming it was Seiji who unleashed such power. Praising him for it, Seiji was taken aback when Kiyoshiro inquired if he truly did it. Shigeru embellished the story, saying a white eagle descended in anger to save him from peril. Hearing this, Kiyoshiro and his gang knelt in apology, with Kiyoshiro even shedding tears. Shigeru instructed them to line up and told Seiji to slap them with his passionate fist so they could understand the pain they caused. Seiji agreed, but his transformation faded away. When asked why, he explained that his power stemmed from anger and he no longer felt that emotion. Reluctantly, he began slapping them one by one, leaving Shigeru speechless. Later, Seiji took Seika to a safe place. Struggling with exhaustion, Shigeru muttered an apology, saying, "Touching a girl could kill me." As Seiji collapsed, Kiyoshiro smirked, whispering that the poison had finally taken effect, giving them a chance against him. Turning to Shigeru, Kiyoshiro offered him a chance to join them, promising women in exchange. However, Shigeru broke free from his chains, declaring that Seiji was stronger than him, leaving Kiyoshiro and his gang visibly shaken by his unexpected sense of justice. Shigeru then took Seiji to rest. They later claimed a bounty of 100,000 riras from Kiyoshiro's gang, leaving everyone astonished. Seiji suggested they share the money, but the girls hesitated, having slept through the fight. He insisted on splitting it, and when Seika asked Shigeru if he had slept too, Seiji explained how Shigeru had used his body to protect him, earning praise from the girls. Seiji offered Shigeru his share, but Shigeru declined, claiming his earning rate was 1/10,000. He remarked that Seiji was a spendthrift, as his money vanished quickly. Shigeru wanted someone he could trust to manage it, so Seika stepped in, suggesting she handle Shigeru's funds. He agreed, and she took his share. They decided to go to a restaurant, where Seika treated Shigeru to a burger, curious if he liked it. He learned she had just tried one for the first time 2 days ago. Suddenly, she inquired about his stats, and when he expressed boredom, she revealed that lowering his looks could increase his bonus points. Shigeru was shocked to learn she had lowered hers to -16, and she asked if she was pretty, revealing she had requested to look cute. Feeling regretful for not asking to appear like a movie star, Shigeru noticed Seika eyeing a cat. When he encouraged her to pet it, she made an angry face but soon began jumping for joy. Declaring she could stand now, she ran to the cat. Wow! Shigeru excused himself to the restroom, where he cried, assuming Seika was disabled in the real world. He vowed to help her with his almighty god skills. Seika soon informed him that the others were waiting, and they returned to discuss their future occupations. Seiji decided to be a hero, Shigeru an epic fighter, and Seika mage, to which she eagerly agreed. They equipped themselves and planned to head to the largest city, the Principality of Valeria, agreeing to meet the next day before dispersing. Later, Seika asked the other girl if she could play jump rope, and they went to the park. A flashback revealed Seika at a weapon shop choosing mage equipment, initially opting for nunchucks but happily settling on a jump rope, much to the shopkeeper's delight. Back in the present, Seika showed the girl how to jump rope, offering encouragement. When Seika nicknamed her Rize by combining French and English words, Rize blushed and continued jumping, impressing a gathering crowd. However, as the attention grew, Seika began to cry. Distressed by the overwhelming attention on Rize, Shigeru tried to comfort Seika, but was ridiculed by townsfolk for his looks. Rize, wanting only to make Seika happy, felt bad, and Shigeru empathized, saying, being ignored is hard. Upon returning to the inn, Seika found a letter under her door from Rize, apologizing for the earlier incident. Seika rushed out to find Rize, who was hiding, and wanted to talk to Shigeru. They retreated to a room, where Rize began to grovel in apology. Shigeru, puzzled, asked why she was sorry. Rize revealed that Shigeru's last name wasn't Sasaki and that he was the man Seiji had been talking about, leaving Shigeru shocked. Shigeru, stunned, asked Rize why she thinks he's the Mr. Wise Seiji mentioned. Rize reveals her unique skill. She can see people's status windows, including their names and special notes. Shigeru was embarrassed by what he wrote in his special note. Rize asks if he knows about Seika's real-world body, and Shigeru admits he has some idea. Rize drops a bombshell. She's the reason Seika's body was harmed in the real world. She explains that she met Seika during an AI program that malfunctioned, resulting in an accident due to a misunderstanding. Seika was injured because Rize couldn't stop it. Guilt-ridden, Rize wrote in her special note that she wants to understand others, hoping to atone in this world. Shigeru, curious, asks if it was the AI that was developed by Seiji's company. Rize reveals another shocker. Seiji is her brother, but she's changed so much that he hasn't recognized her. She sought Shigeru after hearing about him from Seiji, calling their meeting fate. Shigeru questions her honesty, and Rize swears she can't lie, it's the price for her power. She offers to help Shigeru use his almighty god skills to aid Seika and Seiji. Shigeru mutters he doesn't need help, but admits leaving Seiji, a straightforward guy, and Seika, an innocent girl, would stress him out. He agrees to her help, and Rize, grateful, cuts her hair as a symbol of her new beginning. The next morning, as the party prepares to leave for the Principality of Valeria, Rize shows off her new haircut, and Seika calls it lovely. On the road, they battle monsters, with Seika wielding magic, Seiji protecting her, and Rize supporting from afar with her bow. Their teamwork shines, and as the sun sets, Seiji suggests camping. Seika, thrilled for her first camping experience, chooses fishing over lighting the fire. While fishing with Shigeru, she confesses she doesn't want to be a crybaby anymore. Shigeru, wise and gentle, tells her crying is good, it's not just sadness, but a sign of a moved heart. Remembering his past, he told Seika some people forget how to cry. Seika, touched, starts crying. Rize joins them, asking if they caught any fish. When they admit they didn't, Rize expertly shoots fish with her bow and hands them to Seika to bring to Seiji. Alone with Shigeru, Rize praises him, saying Seika always smiles around him and that Seiji was right about his ability to bring joy. Shigeru, flustered, asks if she's over-complimenting, but Rize insists everything runs smoothly with him around. Then Reese tells him not to reveal her identity to the others, fearing it might drive them apart, and asks for time. Shigeru agrees, and they return to camp, where Seika and Seiji are cooking dinner. Over dinner, Shigeru asks Seiji about their journey's goal, wondering if it's to defeat the Demon Lord. Seiji admits he's unsure, but says their current aim is to reach Valeria. Shigeru praises him, calling him it's expected from a former president, when a noise interrupts them. They find a wounded woman, Ria, who wakes from a nightmare about being chased by two men trying to kill her. In a flashback, we see her in the real world. Her boyfriend dumped her, her friends mocked her looks, and she wrote in her special note a vow to kill all pretty women. Back in the present, Ria wakes up and asks who they are, and tries to move, but the party urges her to rest. She glares at Seika with resentment. Seiji suggests moving her to the fire to warm up. A flashback shows when they found Ria, and Shigeru goes to fetch water. Reese stops him and warns him that Ria's special note reveals her hatred for pretty women and her intent to kill them, putting Seika in danger. Back to present, Seiji asks her name, and she confirms it's Ria. Seika offers her food, but Ria looks at Seika with a hateful stare, tries to reach for a weapon, only for Reese to disarm her preemptively. Seiji asks why she's injured, and Ria explains her party was attacked, leaving her separated. Feeling sympathy, Seiji promises to protect her until they reach Valeria. Suddenly, Ria winces in pain, claiming her wound feels hot, and asks Seika to help her take her to the lake. Seiji offers to assist, but Ria snaps that she needs help bathing and accuses him of being lewd. Seika, confused, asks Seiji if he's lewd, turning him to stone with embarrassment. Shigeru tries to help, but Ria threatens to scream if he touches her, and Seika asks if he's lewd too, leaving Shigeru and Seiji depressed. Reese, with a scary expression, offers to help Ria, but Ria refuses instantly. Innocent Seika agrees to help, even bringing her weapon for protection, and they head to the lake. Reese follows discreetly. Seiji stops Shigeru from following, calling it inappropriate, and suggests they eat and wait. Shigeru, worried, performs super-fast side jumps, creating afterimages to track Seika. Seiji, stunned, asks if he's vibrating, but Shigeru uses a skill to put him to sleep and follows the girls. At the lake, Ria calls Seiji handsome, but unripened. Seika, not understanding the term, describes him as strict yet thoughtful. Ria mutters she wishes she could join them, then pulls a weapon on Seika, declaring she kill all pretty women. Seika, terrified, asks what she did wrong, and Ria admits it's not personal. Her special note compels her to kill pretty women because, in her past world, they ruined her life, so she took it out on her special note. Seika, crying, asks why she wrote such a note, but Ria says there's no going back and tells her to die. As Ria attacks, Reese shoots her weapon away, forcing her to retreat. When Ria tries to reach for her weapon, Shigeru grabs her hand, ready to strike, but a blinding light interrupts. A wing and halo emerge from Seika, transforming her into an angelic figure, leaving everyone in awe. Everyone stood in awe. Seika's transformation, it was unlike anything they had ever seen. The air itself seemed to still as she approached Ria. "I don't want you to be in pain," Seika said softly, her voice gentle. Ria tried to back away, her body trembling, but the pain was too much. Gritting her teeth, "If you come any closer, I might kill you," she warned. Her voice shook with a bitterness that cut deep. "Those special notes, they've ruined my sanity. Seika, even if you think there's no way, there might be. I'll help you find it. I promise." Before Ria could react, Seika's hands began to glow. Her skill ignited light, weaving into her touch, and in an instant, Ria's severed arm was restored. Gasps filled the air. Shigeru, wide-eyed, muttered in disbelief. "Even the power of the Almighty God can't do that." Seika simply smiled faintly. "In my special note, I wrote that if a friend is hurt, I want to heal them as an angel." Her tone softened. "Before I was reincarnated, I had a missing eye, a huge scar across my face. I know what it's like, so don't give up." But Ria's expression hardened. "I'm not your friend." And with that, she turned and ran. The transformation faded. Seika's knees buckled and she collapsed. In the forest, Ria's sword scraped against the dirt as she began to carve something into Thetri. Her hands trembled. Then, without warning, she turned the blade toward herself, but before the strike could land, Shigeru came running and stopped her. Ria glared at him. "Did you come to finish me off?" Shigeru's voice was firm but calm. "If I did, Seika would be sad." Instead, he offered something unexpected. I have a deal for you. You'll live, but lose your eyesight. Ria let out a humorless laugh. Too good to be true. Shigeru didn't smile. It's the highest skill of darkness, one that seals away one of the 5 senses. Her eyes widened. Who exactly are you? This seal, Shigeru continued, will only vanish if struck by a skill of light. Ria with suspicious eyes asked him, why are you going so far? To protect Seika? Shigeru looked away for a moment. At first, I planned to leave the party. But Seika, despite my ugliness, extended her hand to me. I'm just repaying my debt. A bitter smile touched Ria's lips. I'm jealous of her. I wish I had party members like that. She exhaled slowly. Fine, I'll accept your deal. Back at camp when Seika awoke, she blinked in confusion. She didn't remember what had happened. Shigeru knelt beside her. Don't reveal your power to anyone. Keep it between us. Why? She asked. There are bad people out there. If they knew, they'd come for you, he said gravely. Only reveal it to someone you truly trust. And if you ever feel danger, call me. I'll come running. Seika's lips curled into a small smile. Thank you. She extended her hand. Shigeru hesitated, his own pain gnawing at him, but he shook her hand anyway. The next morning they told Seiji that Ria had left during the night. She'd left a message for Seika. Thank you for healing my scar. The journey continued. The Principality of Valeria lay ahead. Seika found herself wondering, what kind of place will it be? Shigeru's flashback. Last night the memory played back in his mind, talking with Riz about Seika's transformation. How did you not know when you can read people's windows? Shigeru asked. Ria Zeraplete. Her window. It didn't even have a specific description of the transformation. What about Seiji? He pressed. Riz's face darkened. A very thorough, detailed one. Shigeru's eyes narrowed. Can I read his special notes? Her body started to shake. I just want to know his weakness, Shigeru explained. Since a great power always comes with a huge drawback, her gaze dropped to the ground. Fine, I'll write it down. But Shigeru told her to only give it to him after Seiji decides our goal. Since Seiji announced his aim is to collect information and expand their options, Shigeru's mind worked quickly. If Kyociro's peer became king, then reincarnated people can take the throne. If Seiji becomes king, people like Seika could live in safety. Riz tilted her head. Why not you? Shigeru smirked. With my 1 in 10,000 earning rate, I'd bankrupt the kingdom in a week. Back to the present, the city was in sight when monsters blocked the road. Charge and breakthrough, Seiji commanded. The party surged forward except Seiji, who stayed behind. My shoes untied, he said. Shigeru blinked at his feet. He wasn't even wearing laces. But Seika, believing him, darted toward the monsters. Shigeru reacted fast, summoning a wall of wind around them. Don't rush in alone, he barked. He turned back and froze. Seiji was screaming mid-transformation. Then, suddenly, he stopped, remembering that transformation would tear his expensive clothes. He quickly stripped them off, then resumed his dramatic screaming. The rest of the group climbed a nearby fortress. Monsters began scaling the walls, Riz and Seika cutting them down, while Shigeru's buffs kept them strong. For the others, Shigeru molded soldiers from mud to fight. Finally, Seiji completed his transformation and sprinted toward them. Riz's face twisted in disgust. Ooh, my brother's cringe is unbearable. Seika tilted her head. Who is that? I am a wandering hero, Aldean. Seiji declared heroically. Leave this to me. Shigeru and Riz remained unimpressed, but for Seika, this was her first time seeing Aldean in action. She was awestruck. Then a golem appeared. Aldean's strike bounced harmlessly off, thinking. Fast, he launched himself into the sky and came crashing down, crushing the swarm of monsters beneath him. After the battle on the way to the city, Seika started to tell Seiji about Aldean. Then sheezed. Seiji, where were you earlier? Seiji scratched his head. Guess I got hit and passed out, but his eyes gleamed with mischief. Hey, what was his name again? Shigeru, watching the exchange, began to seriously rethink his plan of making Seiji king.